All good. Brilliant. Well, welcome to the After Party podcast powered by AFA. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, a good old friend, old teammate, and now Brumbies fullback and the Wallabies fullback, Tom Banks. How you going today, big fella?
Yeah, not bad, man. It's good to be on here. It's been a while in the making, but it's going to be a blast.
That's good, man. Yeah, it was good. We finally got you on, but you fucking Wallabies are running around all over Australia, bloody bubbles and all this bullshit. But mate, big game on the weekend. There's a lot of fucking energy in New Zealand at the moment. Is it obviously? What was the sort of process? Because I mean, last time I spoke to you, it was pretty quick. Like turnaround between you guys, like moving to the Goldie and then straight to NZ. Was that a pretty rushed process, or?
Yeah. Because obviously, like through Super and everything this year, it was all pretty good. Like no sort of breakouts. Towards the end there in Sydney, it was a bit. Melbourne was a bit touch and go. But yeah, ever since this has sort of popped up all around Australia, they sort of had to change venues, like rush us around, being in bubbles and whatnot. But it was lucky we sort of got out of Brizzy when we did, because then obviously they went into lockdown. We got over here before the travel bubble closed. Obviously we had the two games in Eden Park, one last weekend and again this weekend. But and then we got Perth. Perth definitely locked in next week. But then after that, I think it's just up in the air of where's open and where's not. But it's all looking likely that all the games are going to be played. It's just a matter of where. So it should be good.
For sure, man. And so the Wallabies at the moment, like we're really stunned because obviously this year there's just been so many new faces. Everyone's like really, you can see that there's needed a bit of gelling time, especially throughout that France period. Talk us through, that was like such a volatile, fucking crazy 3 games with France. They're all pretty much nail biters. Were you guys expecting them to come out as strong as they did?
Yeah. I think if you watch some of their Six Nations stuff, they're a bloody good team.
Yeah.
They've got some unbelievable players, but I think we knew they were going to come out firing. It was a matter of us. Like we came into camp pretty rushed. Obviously we had about, I think 2 weeks of training. Everything's pretty different between all the Super Rugby teams, how they play, the style they want to play. So it was all pretty rushed, but and then that last game, the sort of red card to Marika early on didn't help us. But I think it was big I think it was a big turning point for the Wallabies that moment. Coming out on top in that game, like in previous years, we would have fell away or whatnot. So I reckon it was a massive turning point, that red card, and just how we stayed in it, I guess. It was good to see as like a Wallabies supporter, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And like, did you feel like since, let's say, that first French game to now, has there been a lot more improvement and like a lot more like things are coming together a little bit easier now that you've been with each other for a little stint?
Yeah, definitely. We've had a few big weeks on Sanctuary Cove, getting a heap of training in. They built a little little sort of bubble for us down there. We've got our own gym, our own training field. Everything's really close. So they've done it really well. Yeah. And to be fair, Dave's done an unbelievable job, like sort of getting the right coaching staff together. It's just, I think the stuff he's tried to put in place for the team, it's going to take a while to take effect, but he's an unbelievable coach. And I think the systems he's putting together at the moment, like we're going to be really good in the future.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a bit of the building phase at the moment, it looks like. And man, that whole French side, yeah, you're right. They were so fucking good. And they were so like big, bro. I remember me and Dad went to that first game at Suncorp, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? These are so thick. Like, it was like just these barreling boys. Like, what was that a main thing with them? Just how physical they were?
Yeah, I think like speaking to a few boys that have gone and played in France, like they don't give a fuck about any like the running rugby. It's just all about mauling and scrums and all that sort of stuff. So like we knew they were going to take it to us up front. It's just whether we could stay in the game and sort of and make them work a little bit more, because if you run straight at them, they can hit, but it's just sort of testing them a bit more around the fringes, which I think we did well in parts, but we could have executed a lot better. I think we were we're sort of let out of jail in that first game with how it ended, and then in the second game when we gave away that penalty. But yeah, mate, I think it's just the way we finished it, as I said before, is something I think.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Being able to come back from being like logistically fucked, like with that red card in the first half, to come back, that's exactly like the best thing that came out of that 3 games for sure there. Another thing me and Tad were talking about watching that game, and it's got nothing to do with anything, but that was the thing. Like, we were the guys at the game where everyone's like, shut the fuck up. We're just talking about everything besides like the actual game. We're talking about like how weird it is when you verse an international team and everyone's not speaking English.
Yeah,
Everyone's like running around. Does that ever like wig you out? Because I remember when I played Fiji in schoolboys, I remember like not even thinking about it before the game, but then once we started playing, I was like, holy shit, this is terrifying, bro. Like, dudes screaming at you in Fijian and shit.
Hey, honestly, it's like when you get toe to toe and they're screaming in your face, you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on. But to be fair though, they were a good bunch of boys. We sort of had like a little chat after the game. We swapped jerseys after the second game there. They were a real good bunch of boys. But and like, mate, they had it really tough. They came over and basically quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they had a rough start.
Straight into a 3-match test series. So, mate, full credit to them. They did a solid to come over and play us.
For sure, man. And then obviously shooting over to New Zealand last week for the first Bledisloe there. What's the energy like coming through to a game at Eden Park playing for the Wallabies? Obviously, there's the history of not having won there in 31 years now. All Blacks not having lost in 27 years at Eden Park. It does, I guess, from an outside looking in, seem like an impossible feat. Is it nothing but positive vibes? Like, is everyone like really just digging in and really wanting that win? Like, because I'd imagine just the passion of it all needs to be there for games like this, because the All Blacks are going to just bring fucking everything. Rightio, too easy. Well, this episode of the After Party podcast was brought to you by our proud sponsor, the Lad Collective. Banksy, mate. These are 2 of my good mates that I've grown up with, like, since they were kids. 2 brothers. They're funny as. Bill and Ed opened, and they've started up their own sheet business called the Lad Collective. And basically, they're trying to make sheets better for blokes in the bedroom. What's your sheet situation like at the moment? I know you've been away from the misso for a while. Do you have it all in order?
No, mate. Pretty honestly don't pay much attention, but yeah, get me into it. What is it?
Well, mate, you need to start looking after your whole sheet situation. It's just like a shirt, mate. You wouldn't wear a shirt for 2 weeks straight, would you? So you got to make sure you're washing your sheets and getting your good ones sorted, mate. And what these guys have, they couldn't make it any bloody easier for you. So they've the difference between them and any other sheet, they've got top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right tags that you can rip in easily. So it makes it nice and easier for you. You got the centering logo. It's 60% bamboo, 40% cotton. Breeze better than ever, mate. But these boys will definitely hook you up, mate. So expect a bit of sheet action coming to you soon, and you'll finally have your sheet together.
Unreal. Cheers, bro.
Brilliant, mate. Too easy. If anybody wants to check out the Lad Collective, just go to their Instagram at the Lad Collective or their website, www.theladcollective.com.
Yeah. I think we've had a few of the vets speak this week. So yeah, Slips spoke about it. Spoke to us at the start of the week, just around like just the emotion of like, how long he's played, how many times he's played at Eden Park, and he's never come away with a win, and how good it'd be for us as an Australian group to finally break that hoodoo. Like, someone's going to break it eventually. Like, there's going to be a win at Eden Park. So like, why not this weekend?
Exactly.
Which is what we've been speaking about, is which I think they've been put on a pedestal for a while now, which is fair because they've been fucking unbelievable for the last decade. So mate, they're right to be put in that position because they've been performing there. But I think what we've got as a group now, like obviously a lot of youth in the group, but mixed with a lot of experience. I think Hoops is doing an unreal job, and so yeah, this week's just all about fucking getting our shit right, making sure that like when we front up, we take it to them. Because I think if you watch the game on the weekend, there was about a 15-minute period in the second half where they scored a lot of points and like they were just cutting us up in defence. So I think that's been the hallmark of sort of the Bledisloes in the past, is just those little lapses for like 10, 15 minutes where they run in 2 or 3 tries.
Because they take advantage of that so quickly, and you see it with the Crusaders, like in the Aotearoa season as well. Like they play a literal 80 minutes of football. There's not like any break in between. You have to go to the buzzer. I think it was really good on the weekend though, seeing you boys come through at the end there. You got 2 meaties. Nice work.
Yeah, thanks.
But like,
how's the Falcon in the first half? You like that one?
Oh, the Falcon in the first. We'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, like coming back at the end there was a really nice change to see as well, with the Wallabies really like sticking in there at the end. Do you think it has a lot to do with some of the big hitters coming off the bench, like Big Tongue and Thor and others as well coming off? I feel like there has been a big focus on that last 35 minutes or so with some good super subs.
Yeah, I think if you watch Nella, like when he comes on, he changes the game. Like his ball carries, like he just gets you on the front foot. And like as a back, you see someone sort of getting over the game line, putting on big hits, it just gets you up. And especially in those last 30 where obviously got tired bodies around. But then we've got boys like Rob Valentini, Harry Wilson, who just they've Harry Wilson, he's been unreal this year. And paired with Bobby and then Hoops in the back row, they really get you on the front foot. Yeah, so mate, I think, as I've said before, like the way we've tried to look at it this weekend is just through our defence. If we can get them up front, really put on some dominant hits and just work off the back of that. Fuck it. Test match footy is just all about aggression, getting on the front foot, and then just it's a battle of like inches.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the way we've sort of spoken about it this week is just getting our shit right.
Definitely. And what's the energy coming like from good old Dave Rennie? Obviously, he's got a bit of a personal vendetta. I'm sure he wants to get over these blokes. He just seems like a guy that would give the most violent sprays of all time. Like that's from purely looking at him. I don't know if that's his character at all. What is his sort of energy like with this Bledisloe tour now?
Nah, he's honestly probably one of the most chilled coaches I've ever been.
Really?
No, honestly, he never. He sort of gets firm, but he never really sprays or anything.
Yeah.
No, he.
Well, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
No, he's honestly keeps it pretty relaxed. Obviously having Dan McKellar in there this year. Obviously works with him at Brumbies for a fair bit. He can give a good spraying sometimes. So he's taken over the forwards and all the mauling and scrumming, and all the mauling and forward play. So he's been really good, but yeah, he can give a good spray.
Yeah. And man, you mentioned that like Hoops, Slipper, some of the older boys are really like helping out in these sort of situations. You can obviously see how important it is to them because they've just been doing it for probably a decade longer than some of the boys out there playing with them. But when you do get to those points, as you said, where there was that little like section where they did score like 2 or 3 tries in that 15-minute window, on TV, it does look very like defeating at that point. I have played a lot of footy and been in those situations. Terrace, mate. That's all I was doing. And walking back to the fucking try line. Is it really pretty much like Hoops, Slips, those guys really taking charge there in those sort of huddles, like in between tries and ripping into you there?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think as you know, like with footy matches, there's always momentum swings.
Yeah.
You get on top in parts. So it's just when they have the momentum, being able to ride that out and not conceding too many points. Because then when, as you said before, when you get someone on that sort of changes the momentum, puts on a big shot, big carry, it swings everything in your favor. So it's really sort of taming those moments when they're on top and not conceding too much. And then really sort of cashing in on the moments where you're in their 22, or I think a few times there, obviously before half time. I think it was really unlucky. Hoops got done for offside there.
Yep.
He's beat in front of the kicker. So I think it's just little moments like that. We can just be.
Sure, I think a lot of the problems I noticed, especially in the second half, was just your standard like drop ball here and there and whatnot. Like the momentum's there. It's just like finding those windows where you can open them up, and did it in the last 20 for sure. So it's good to know at least that those openings are there for sure.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think we've reviewed as a team. Like we have so much room for growth, and I think if you look at a few key moments in the game, like if the intercept, like if that goes a different way, I know it's all good in hindsight, but it's just really sort of taming on those little areas where we can just be a little bit better, because we know they're going to come out a lot better this weekend. I think if you look at all the press in that, they're pretty, I guess, unhappy with how they played. So we know they're going to step it up this weekend. That's nothing new.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, let's go back to where it all began, mate. Brizzy-born boy. You played a lot of your younger footy. What club were you actually playing at as a junior?
No, I played AFL all growing up. So,
really?
Yeah, I did not know that.
No, I didn't know that actually at all, bro. So where were
Nah,
you
so
playing
I
at in
played
Brisbane?
AFL all growing up. Like did Oz kick and all that.
Yeah.
And then really sort of only went to rugby when I went to BBC, grade 8. And then, sort of changed over. And then ever since then, just been into rugby. So, yeah, it's probably where I get my kicking sort of style from, is just AFL growing up.
You actually do have a very like pointing sort of stance.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you took anything like from, I guess you were pretty young, but like, do you reckon you took much from AFL over to footy?
I guess it's like a lot of the key things, like a high ball catch and kicking, like as a fullback. That's
actually not. Yeah, it's actually pretty fucking good for a fullback. That sort of training.
Yeah. It's honestly two of the major things that especially in Test footy that are massive. But and then other sports, like a bit of cricket and that. But no, it was just all sort of AFL growing up.
Yep.
And then, as you know, you go to GPS school, and then it's just you get sucked into that footy environment. And it was all growing up through BBC. I was in the C's, B's, sort of in the younger grades, and then only really, I guess, moved into the A's and that when I was in year 11.
Yep.
And then ended up doing 2 years year 12 at BBC. Then, unfortunately, my second year, I broke my wrist in GPS trials, so missed that whole year. So
missed out on all the fun stuff.
Yeah, missed out on all the fun stuff. It was pretty hard.
Who was in? Were there any notable names in your BBC first 15?
No, not really. We've had a few good players that have come through BBC, like Will Genia, James Horwell, Dan Gagai. There we go.
Yeah. Was it your year?
No. Who's a few years older than me, but none in my year. And then obviously, I think the last few years at GPS Brisbane, BBC have been pretty good. I think they won it last year.
They won it, during COVID, which is the worst thing to ever happen, dude. And that just they haven't won in however long, like as long as I know at least. And then the 1 year they do, no one can watch, dude. Like I shouldn't be laughing, but but yeah, I don't give a fuck about BBC. They got
our claim to fame before that though was like, I think our last win was like 1954, and it was like a 4-way tie because every game got rained out. So like before that, that was literally the last time we won.
Oh god, yeah, it's so cooked. Really lame hats as well. That's cool, mate. As well. So then you obviously moved on and straight to uni from there.
Yeah. So then obviously finished year 12 and then just went straight to UQ.
Who poached you there?
So who was the coach there? I think Chader was there in 2013 in Colts.
Chader.
He was there in Colts, sorry. Elton was the head coach there. in Colts. So he coached me for a little bit there. Then 2013 had a pretty good year for UQ Colts. I think we won the premiership. And that sort of nothing really happened that year. I was just sort of enjoying my footy. You know, it's like when you go to a club team, especially UQ, you get sort of dragged into the culture.
Yeah, for sure, man.
The boys are real good there, obviously. Jimmy, Jack Nelson, like we had an unbelievable team.
Yeah, definitely, man. And so when you started to move up into prems and whatnot, was that the first time you probably really noticed like a big change in like the level of comp? Because I mean, you did, as you said, miss out on like a lot of the rep stuff at school and all that. And then sometimes the first time you get into a prem grade field, it can be like, oh shit, like there's some big boys.
Yeah. Well, that was I think it was 2014. I played like my first sort of proper season of prems, but then unfortunately that year I dislocated my shoulder and then missed 2014 with the shoulder reconstruction.
Yep.
And so that year I just basically had a year off. Sort of took a back seat. Obviously went to uni and stuff. Then towards the end of the year came back, played a bit of NRC and whatnot. I think I was at the end of that year I was lucky enough to do the Reds preseason. Got into that environment, but then I think one of the first 2 or 3 games into the 2015 season did my other shoulder, so basically had 2 years off from footy.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's fucking just went.
I think that's when I
a couple of festivals, and then
I think I met you around that sort of time, 2015, 16. And then rolling into that prem grade season, I think it was like 2017 or so, was so cooked because we were just beating everyone by so much. And so it just like opened up weekends, and it was such a fun year and fun season. During that time as well, you mentioned you were with the Reds program and whatnot. I personally felt like watching a lot of that. I was like, what the fuck what are they doing right now? Like, you've got an outstanding fullback here, killing it in NRC, killing it in club, and you still weren't getting much of a look. You were kind of getting these one gamers here and there. Did you feel a little bit hard done by around that sort of period? Because I remember like it was, you were still at that stepping stone of like getting out of club, and you were definitely at a professional level. Did you feel like a little bit like hard done by in your hometown, or did you still think that there was?
I think like that. I think it was that 2016 season where I felt like I was playing pretty well.
You're murdering it, and we're beating teams like 70 points.
Yeah, mate. I think is that year we went on like a 16 win streak.
And then I think we cooked it.
Yeah, we lost the brothers in the final, eh?
Yeah, the funny thing about that, because I remember I was benching for Prems that day, and the whole year, because I was like playing Colts and then benching Prems the whole year, and I was never allowed to bench for Reggie's. And then that day they were like, oh, do you want to play the Reggie's grand final? And I was like, yeah. So then I won that one that day, and then played the Prems.
That's one that they hadn't won in ages, eh?
They hadn't won in like 30 years. So I won that one, was all high and mighty, and then played the game after, and that was when we lost to Brothers. And there's nothing worse than winning a premiership and going back to the clubhouse when the Prems have lost, because it's just everyone's so butthurt.
That's right. Oh, that's right. And we went back to the clubhouse, mate. You still celebrated like you fucking won.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty stock standard for me. Hence, I was going to move to hooker last year. Maybe a bit fat.
No, but anyway,
back to the Reds.
I felt pretty hard done by, because I felt I'd done well that year, and then did pretty well in NRC, and then I was hoping that I could sign on with the Reds. All I was sort of wanting was like an EPS contract. Not even sort of main squad. And then they sort of said, oh, we've got another developmental contract. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Here's another year down the drain.
Yeah.
But, and then it was sort of really lucky that at the end of that year, the Brumbies, I think they lost Robbie Coleman.
Yep.
Who went overseas, and then like last minute a spot opened up at the Brumbies. Then they offered me a contract down there, which was honestly the best thing that probably ever happened to me.
Yeah, I can guarantee that, for sure. For many reasons. But like like one thing I was going to say as well, because like it can be a pretty dark period for blokes who are playing at a club level when they're around that 23, 24, 25 age, where they have been playing a lot of rep, still stuck in the club sort of system, and then you get knocked back by your like home team, and it can seem like doors are starting to close. How important was like, did you feel like any of that at all? Or did you still have a good hope that there was another avenue or another door to open?
Nah, you definitely go through moments where you know, okay, well, if I'll give it one more crack, or this isn't working out, because like, you feel like, especially, you know, in Queensland, there's always up and coming stars. Like there's always someone who's young coming up in your position. Or I think that year, Lockie Morante came over from the Broncos.
Yeah.
So I think
he was
he
awesome
basically, yeah. So I think he's a Terrace boy, isn't he?
What was that?
He's a Terrace boy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Terrace boy, well older than me. I'm pretty sure. I don't
yeah.
know. Was it your year? When were you?
No.
When did you graduate? 2011?
2011. Oh, I graduated 2012 because I did 2 years, but it meant to be 2011. But yeah, anyway, so he was yeah. I'm 27 this year. That's ridiculous.
Oh, yuck. No.
That's yuck. Eh? What are you, 24?
24. Oh, well, at least you got fucking hair, mate.
Yeah, so I think he came in and he was signed as an outside back. So I was like, oh, okay, clearly they don't really see a future for me here. And then yeah, when Canberra offered me a contract, then all of a sudden they seemed pretty keen at a point in time. So yeah, I still thought it was the best decision for me to just get out of Brizzy, go down to Canberra, and so I spoke to a few of the boys down there. I got pretty close with Aiden Toa.
Yep.
He just recently retired. Actually, he's a really good fella. So
good he was club year last year as well, coming back to East.
Yeah. He was an unbelievable footy. He's got really unlucky with injuries.
Yeah. How fast is he, bloke?
Mate, he was honestly unbelievable. He's got unlucky with the injuries, and then it's just timing of things. But he could have been something special.
Yeah,
he was. Something
definitely was. But I know what you mean. There could have been a bit more potential without some injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he really took me under his wing when I went down to Canberra. Spent a lot of time with him. Yeah, because he was fullback at the time, and yeah, he really sort of helped me out when I moved down, which was because at the time I was like, you think you're moving to Canberra, it's like, oh god, what's going to happen?
Yeah, like in my head, I'm like, that's almost worst nightmare material.
Yeah, honestly, when you speak to anyone, that's what they think. But like having been there.
Have I ever told you? Yeah, sorry. Have I ever told you about my billeting story down there?
How'd you go?
Dude, it was the single most whack thing I've ever been a part of, bro. We in like grade 10 or something like that, Terrace did this tour through New South Wales, Canberra. And obviously there's a billeting system. And for those that don't know, billeting is where basically you have like another bloke on the other team. It's usually the same position, and you stay at their house, their family and whatnot. And it is always so fucking awkward because the dude doesn't want you in his house. The parents are just doing it because they have to. And then there's just this weird like tension where you're just going to like basically be interviewed for 48 hours in their house and use all their shit. Like it's just whack. And when we were in Canberra, it was like an inner city school. I can't remember what it is. What's the one, blue and white? Is it King's?
Wait, is it Grammar? I'm not sure.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it was like in the city though, and everyone was staying in the city. And when we're driving back to this guy's house, we just keep driving like out into like the bush, basically. I'm like, oh fuck, like where is this place? We go out into some like whack farm. And the dad was so weird, bro. and we go out the back. We go into the house and whatnot. And then the older brother, so I'm 15 at the time. The older brother's like 19. I hope this dude doesn't listen to this. And the older brother's 19 or so, and he just starts showing me all his boogie boarding videos, like his own highlights. And I have to sit here going like, oh yeah, this is sick. This is so awkward. And then out of nowhere, the dad's like not being seen at all. And then the mum goes, oh, Connor, you should go out and see the headroom. And I'm like, what do you mean the headroom? And then go out the back, walk like into the bush. There's this huge shed. walk out into there, and there is every dead animal you could think of. It's like deer,
What?
wolves, bears, like everything, dude. And he's like, yeah, I just hunt them out in Canberra. I'm like, what, dude? Like, this is so cooked. Guns, knives all over the walls. And I was like, I'm going to die out here. This is horrible. And then I was like,
wait, when was that? Was that in school?
I was in school. I was in grade 10.
You're in grade 10.
And I was just like by myself on some random fucking property. And he was weird. But
yeah, well, then people think of Canberra like that. People honestly think of Canberra like that. It's just gonna, all mayhem's gonna break loose. But
yeah,
I've been
obviously
down
the
there,
worst version of it.
honestly, I've been down there, what is it, 5 years now, and like it honestly, you think it's one of those places that's, it's like it's a shit place to visit, but a really good place to live.
Yeah, okay, that's so fair. And when you first moved, because I mean, obviously the biggest benefit of what people don't think, like, because you were still a club player at that point. Obviously, you're training like out of control, like looking after yourself to what you can. But like, let's be real, like you after games and stuff, like you have beers, like you might eat a shit feed here and there, like whatever. You're also coming like straight out of school and whatnot. How like benefit, and you see Super Rugby players all the time when they first get signed. That first year, they start to get a bit more jack, a bit more lean, faster, stronger, everything. How good was it, as you said, to get out of your hometown, get away from all the distractions, all bullshit, everything, and then just really focus solely on footy at a professional level and with a new team surrounded by hectic footy players?
Yeah, I think if you look at basically all the Brumbies squad, they're all sort of, I think there's about 4 or 5 players from Canberra. So I think the rest of the squad's from either Sydney and Brisbane mostly. So if you look at it like that, it's a lot of players that sort of haven't got a crack in their home state. I think that's what makes the culture down there so good. Is boys just stick really tight. They don't sort of know, you don't have your outside cliques as you do in Brizzy if you're all your schoolmates and that. So everyone outside of footy hangs out together as well. So I reckon that was single-handedly the biggest thing about the Brumbies, and I still think that's why they're one of the top teams in Australia at the moment, is because of just the culture on and off the field. But and then again, like the program they're running, like they got world-class coaches down there. Like at the moment, like Laurie Fisher, he's basically done everything, and I think if you look at the style of coaches that have been around, I think the way the coaching staff are continually improving is that they're just not set in their ways. I think a lot of coaches these days are hesitant to change, but mate, the game's ever changing, and
exactly,
you need to keep up with trends to stay on top of it. So the coaching staff was unbelievable down there. So like that all sort of it was a big sort of shock for me and my system sort of coming to that environment, trying to be a professional when you've been a club player for like 5 years, just doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Especially hanging out with you, mate, on weekends. But
no, I was bad influence. Hey, I was young. You shouldn't have fucking listened to me.
But like that initial year, I didn't get much game time that first year, but I think it set me up, set me on the right course, I should say, for the career I've had.
Yeah, definitely, man. And fast forwarding a little bit through to like last season, because that was obviously the first time that the comp had really changed, just to solely Australia and New Zealand before crossing paths. Do you like that setup where there is just the Australians versus Australians for a stint there, or do you actually prefer having everyone mixed up? Because I mean, we start to see a little bit like in international games as well, how it could benefit to be playing the likes of New Zealand teams year round, or do you think it is better having that split originally?
I think if you look at Super AU, like it was pretty good, like it was a big success, but I think that success is built off the back of wins.
Yeah.
Like obviously it's the Australian team has to win when they're versing each other.
For sure.
And I think that's been lost in Super Rugby over the last couple of years. It's just the performances of the Australian teams just haven't been really up to standard, and that's for a number of reasons. But I think the path we're heading on now is a good one. I think the talent we've got coming through is pretty good. So I think, like as a player, and I was speaking to a few of the other boys, we do like playing New Zealand. I think whatever the comp structure is going to be, we don't even know yet. But one that'll be Australia, New Zealand, potentially even a couple Islander teams. I think that's probably
the go.
One of the better formats. It's just the performances of Australia just haven't really been up to standard over the last couple of years. But I truly believe that mate, it's the next few years it will be good for Australian rugby.
Yeah, I think it definitely as well like gives some of the younger boys a good like learning curve, sort of like moving into the professional where like, let's say 3 years ago, the first 3 games could be like Crusaders, Blues, Hurricanes, whatever. And it could be a pretty rough thing. Whereas like, I feel like having like the Australian comp against familiar faces, people they know and whatnot, some of the younger players have actually been able to play a bit more loose footy, like people like Tate McDermott and what, for instance. I feel like without that Australian comp, you might not have got those sort of skills like fine-tuned before they ended up versing the New Zealand teams.
Exactly.
How about Tatey as well, man? Like, obviously, very much a crowd favorite. When he's on the field, do you guys feel so much more like speed building up as well into it? Like, he's so electric out there.
Yeah, mate. He's having come into play with him, mate, he's got some unbelievable footwork, and he really opens up the game when he comes on, and he has his running game, which is one of the best I've seen. So yeah, mate, he's definitely sparked something in our attack. But then you look at all the halfbacks, they've all got speed, and that's one of the positions in Australian rugby where we're quite fortunate in is halfback.
Definitely.
We've got a fair few that are probably world class, but mate, Tate's had an unreal year, and he's really stepped it up on the test level. I think that France series, mate, he was unbelievable, especially that last game where he really stood out. Yeah,
dude, he's like fucking real life rugby 08 game out there. It's cooked. Dude, sometimes like the shit he does, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, man. So moving on now, as you said, like you guys have been together for a bit now, the Brumbies boys, and it's similar in this like sort of situation for the last 2 years. It was obviously such a sick win for you boys last year. Talk us through that grand final and how close these Brumbies versus Reds matches have really been and how rough they have been.
Yeah, coming off last year, it was the first bit of still where we've properly won as a Brumbies organisation in a long time. Obviously, we had those 2 wins in the I think it was 99 and early 2000s. So,
but since then, Brumbies have been pretty bloody strong though. Like that's the thing as well. Like they've been up the top for a lot.
Yeah. I think we've had a consistently good team for the last however many 10 years. I think we made the final in 13, and we were pretty close to winning that. I think the Chiefs played. Chiefs ran over the top of us in the end, but we've been consistently good. But it's never the same when you don't sort of finish with that silverware, because there's always the what if moments. So definitely. Last year was really special as a group, and I think we farewelled a lot of boys. Like Christian, who was there for basically his the year before, but like we've let go of a lot of boys who have been there for a long time.
Yep.
So it was pretty special as a group. But then this year, I think if you look at all the games, I think if you look at the combined time the Brums are winning for, I think it's literally about 95% of the matches.
Yeah.
we were in front, and then I guess where it counts, the 80 minutes we fell behind. But the Reds, the credit to them, they found a win and basically found a way to win in basically all the games. So it was pretty tough, especially the way we lost that final. We basically thought we had it in the end there, but a few errors in there, it went the other way. But it's been a good contest between us two for the last year and a bit now. I think we've had a good rivalry sort of building, I think it's been really good for Australian rugby.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You look at the crowd and everything that was built around the game. It was huge. And
Suncorp packed out.
That was the sort of biggest domestic game I've ever been a part of. Suncorp Stadium basically packed out. So it was pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, and when you're versing those boys, obviously you know a fair few of them. Does it ever get a bit argy-bargy push and shove out there, or are you pretty clean?
Couple of the boys, it's more like the forwards. A couple of the forwards boys fire up. Luke Hahn's always good for a blowout.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. Nah, it's not too bad, to be honest. I think everyone's competitive out there. So no, it's still in a heat of battle, to be honest, because you come into here and you're basically teammates, so you got to scrap that stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, completely. I guess you got to think of that as well for sure. And I guess you said that was your biggest game crowd wise and whatnot. Like, I mean, obviously now you're in Canberra and that is your home ground and whatnot, but surely they can't really be much better than packed out Suncorp, is there?
Nah, it's especially even for the French tests, yeah, the Super Rugby final, they do it really well up there. It's an unbelievable stadium to play at, and especially when it's packed out. Just because it's such a good environment, because the crowd feels so close, and you really, really hear sort of every little thing. So it's probably one of my more preferred stadiums to play at.
Yeah, it'd be good if there was something else to listen to besides we.
Let's hear it. We.
The worst, bro, was when they used to have the Volvo meter and they'd be like, come on,
Yeah.
Queensland fans. And then like everyone would give up and it'd be like, shut up.
Mate, I've always had fond memories of that, because I think I went to the Super Rugby final when I think I would have been in year 11 then, back in 2010. So I've always had fond memories of that place and what the Reds have done and the players that have played there. Obviously, I got my start there. I've had 2 caps for the Reds back in the day. So I've always had fond memories of that place and that stadium.
Yeah, definitely, man. And so, as you said before, like you Brumbies boys are cruising around together a lot. And then obviously there's a lot of you in the Wallabies as well. Throughout this last 2 years, you guys must have spent the most disgusting amount of time together. Who would you say, like in the Wallabies camp at the moment, is probably the most annoying in lockdown situations? Is there anyone that gets under your skin or playing pranks, or anyone that's just can't keep them themselves?
To be honest though, it's not too bad. You have your time where you just chill out. Like we get a fair bit of time off, so you never really around the boys too much. They try and make it. To be fair, the management staff have been unreal in trying to give us their own time, give us meals on meals out, meals as positional groups. Like just try and get us out as much as we can, because it is pretty tough, especially for boys that have been away for family.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the Sydney boys have their whole families in Sydney at the moment in lockdown, which is it's pretty tough when you don't know when you're going to see your partner or your kids in the future. And I think that was the Rebels boys last year. They went basically the whole Super Rugby season away from their family, and then if you made the Wallabies, you basically spent the whole end of the year away from your family. So
yeah, it's pretty cooked. Hey?
Yeah. Well, like when you think about it like that, it is pretty tough. But everyone's pretty good together here, to be honest.
It always looks like bloody Harry.
You obviously got Nella and stuff who love playing their pranks.
Nella?
Fucking pranks on each other. Honestly, it's non-stop. Fucking careful walking around doors and stuff. But
has Nella been getting a fair bit of attention in NZ?
Yeah, mate. He calls himself the Mayor of Auckland, mate.
The Mayor of Auckland.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, he's loved around here, actually. God.
Yeah, I could see in the crowd, everyone was going nuts for him. Well, mate, basically this weekend, you already spoke about it a little bit before. Another Bledisloe game coming up back at Eden Park. Again, you pretty much just mentioned before, the energy is the same. You just need to really bring it this time. Is there, I guess you can't really fucking say any tactics or anything like that, I suppose, But yeah, do you think, I guess, for a few boys kind of getting the taste in their tongue of that loss on the weekend will kind of light a bit of a fire up for this weekend as well, knowing that as well they are actually beatable?
Yeah, we spoke about it a lot. Just the way we sort of lost that game, there was heaps of opportunities for us to sort of stamp our mark and really be dominant there. We just unfortunately got a few things wrong, especially if you watch the opening 10 minutes. I think we turned over a lot of ball, which could have put us in a really dominant position. So if you fix those few like minor details up, it really put us on the front foot. Obviously, one of the big things against New Zealand is not turning over too much ball. Obviously, they're a team that loves to spark off turnover and put you under pressure that way. So it's really limiting those areas where you give them a sort of attacking ball. I think we've got the team that we've got sort of the ball carriers like Hunter, Lenny, those sort of boys who can really sort of break open a game. So the biggest thing for us is just holding onto the ball and making sure we put pressure on them, not sort of giving easy outs, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, man. Obviously, we'll see it this Saturday then, but hopefully we beat these pricks and bring something
mate,
home.
It's been too long, especially in Park.
Oath, man, as well, and it's such a big thing for so many people. Like, I'm sure it's nothing bigger than for you guys, because I mean, like, everyone since a kid's been raised to fucking hate these pricks. So
mate, you hear especially old boys that have played here 20, 30 years ago that have like still haven't won or seen a win. So it's it's to be the group that to finally does it, it'll be unbelievable. It'll be something special.
Oath, man. Well, hopefully you get it done. And mate, I'll be screaming at the telly, probably 100 beers deep, and I'll have to watch the highlights the next day to check it all out. Mate, well, that's all I've got for you today, man. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully you kill it on the weekend, and good luck to everyone out there as well, man.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And
all
thanks,
good, bro. Too easy. How can everyone find you on your shit on Instagram and whatnot? Just Tom Banks?
Yeah, just Tom Banks. I need to get back on the Instagram, actually. I'm pretty I need to get posting again, but yeah, that's good. Listen to the podcast, should be a good one.
Brilliant, man. Sounds good. Peace out.
Awesome. Cheers, bro.
Stay on. Like,
bro, how good was that Falcon, bro? Oh my god.
Oh, we've got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Dude, that Falcon was fucked. And it was like, it was so funny. Like, Pig Athletic Club is so quick. They like
clipped it up and put
it out like as it happened, pretty much. That hurt.
Like, it was just like so unexpected. Hit me in the face. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then I was honestly like, ref, like, I did not touch it. Did you see it fucking smack me in the face?
Well, that's still a knock on, isn't it? When it comes up your head.
I thought it wasn't.
I thought if you get passed into the face and it hits the ground, that's a knock on.
No, I swear it's not.
Maybe not. But the thing about it though, like with it, I was thinking we might even just clip this and put it in after the ad I was about to do. But the worst thing, I don't know if you felt it, that I resonated with, is when you eat a ball to the face, when you like feel the grip on your face and shit. It hurts so much, and like right in the nose, like it's such crying territory. Like,
honestly, and you're like, at Eden Park with like 50,000 All Black supporters, just like all going mental, and you're like, fuck. You just like, what's just happened? You're like, oh fuck.
Oh, that's so good, dude. That's so funny. Yeah, it was really weird. It looked like you didn't even like go up to. It looked like, as you said, it took you by surprise. Like,
well, it's because like it was one of the most windy games I've ever been a part of.
It's crazy, man.
Like, wind was fucked. So I think I was like, went to catch it, and then the wind just pushed it a little bit further, and I was like, smacked me in the face. I'm waking up a bit.